Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into a really foundational text in spiritual science, Rudolf Steiner's How to Know Higher Worlds. What we're going to do is map out this incredible step-by-step path of inner development he describes. It's a journey from, our everyday perception to a direct experience of what he calls the super sensible world. So, right at the heart of this whole book is one single, really profound question. Is the world we see, hear, and touch, is that all there is? Or is there something more? Deeper realities, higher worlds, that we just don't have the senses to perceive? And, well, Steiner's entire book is pretty much his answer to that.
And this quote right here, it really gets to the heart of it all. See, for Steiner, a spiritual reality isn't something you're supposed to just believe in. It's something you can actually experience directly. The key, he says, isn't faith. It's about methodically, carefully cultivating your own inner life. And that is what unlocks a way deeper understanding of everything around us.
All right, so our journey really kicks off by looking beyond what's familiar. This first part of the path is all about this idea that we can, and in his view, must, develop brand new ways of perceiving, almost like spiritual senses, just like we have our physical ones. And what's so striking here is the focus on method. This is not about just accepting some belief system, not at all. He lays out a whole series of exercises, like a form of inner training, and the whole point is to awaken what he calls our spiritual eyes and ears. The endgame? To literally expand our consciousness way beyond its normal limits.
Okay, so where does a journey like this even begin? Well, it's not with some crazy mystical visions. Nope. It starts with really grounded, practical work on ourselves. This is what he calls the path of preparation, and it is the absolute foundation for everything else to come.
So here are the first, concrete rules for anyone starting out. Number 1, you've got to create moments of inner peace every single day. 2, you have to learn to observe your own experiences, your joys, your sorrows, almost like you're a stranger watching from the outside. And 3rd, you need to develop a real sense of reverence for the world and all the beings in it. You see, these practices start to shift you from being constantly reactive to everything to being mindfully observant. And this really highlights a huge contrast, right? In our ordinary lives, we're so often just pulled around by whatever's happening, kind of like a ship without a rudder. The whole goal of this prep work is to develop what Steiner calls an inner ruler, a kind of higher self. This is the part of you that can guide your actions with a sure hand, with a real calmness and certainty, no matter what kind of storm is raging outside. Steiner talks about how these really common human traits, they're like static on a radio, They just interfere with our ability to perceive anything subtle. Things like anger, impatience, prejudice. He says they literally create a kind of wall in the soul world. So a huge part of the work is consciously noticing these things in yourself and smoothing them out. You're basically clearing the channel so you can receive a clearer signal. So once that foundational work is really underway, the path starts to move into its more advanced stages. And this is where all that effort starts to pay off, where you start to see some genuinely new perceptual abilities pop up. The next big milestone on this path is what Steiner calls illumination. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like walking into a pitch black room and finally flipping on the light switch. All the furniture, the pictures on the wall, they were there the whole time, but now, for the first time, you can actually see them. That's what this stage is. It's about making that unseen spiritual world visible. But, to see in this newly lit up world, you need new organs of perception. Steiner uses this beautiful metaphor. He calls them lotus flowers, which you might also know as chakras. Just think of them as totally new spiritual senses. The same way your physical eyes perceive light and color, these soul organs, which you develop through specific meditations, start to perceive spiritual realities. And the way he describes these perceptions is just fascinating. For example, developing the lotus flower near your larynx is supposed to give you direct insight into how other people think, their mindset. The one near the heart? That one lets you see their deeper character. So each one of these spiritual senses has its own unique job, opening up totally different layers of this unseen world.
Okay, so after a long, long time of dedicated practice, the journey starts building to a real climax. The student is brought to this critical point, a really profound test of whether they're truly ready to step fully into the spiritual world.
And get this isn't just another exercise. This is a direct face-to-face encounter. The path leads you to what he calls a threshold between the physical and the spiritual worlds. And standing there, waiting for you, is this incredibly important figure. Now, this is absolutely crucial. This guardian is not some external demon or monster. It is a being literally woven together from every single one of your past deeds, good and bad, from all of your previous lives. It is, quite simply, your own karma made visible. And the guardian's own words from the text just hit so hard. It basically stands right in front of you and says, I am the being that was made from your good deeds and your wicked deeds. My form is spun from the account book of your life. It's the living, breathing personification of your own life's ledger, all the good and all the bad. So to face the guardian is to face yourself, completely, with no illusions left to hide behind. This moment is the turning point. It's when you go from being unconsciously pushed around by your karma to consciously grabbing the reins of your own destiny. You can't blame fate anymore. You see with total clarity that you are your fate.
So, after all that, what's the point? What's the ultimate purpose of this incredibly difficult journey? Once you pass that threshold, how does your life actually change? Well, this final part explains the goal, and it's something that is so deeply rooted in the here and now.
And this is such a critical point. This whole path isn't about escaping the world, going to meditate on a mountaintop forever. No, it's about developing that spiritual strength so that you can bring it back into the world. It's about infusing every single mundane task, every conversation you have, with a deeper insight and a real sense of purpose. And with this new way of seeing, life just takes on a completely new meaning. Suddenly, the smallest task isn't just a chore anymore. You see it as part of this huge, interconnected cosmic web. And that perspective gives you this incredible strength to face life's challenges because you know that even your suffering, it serves a higher purpose within this great cosmic whole. So the final goal, the real end game, it goes way beyond just your own personal enlightenment. Once you've gained access to the spiritual world, your job becomes being a bridge. Your task is to bring those revelations, those insights, down to earth for the liberation and the good of all of humanity. The journey starts with working on yourself, but it ends in selfless service to the world. And so, we're left with this question. Steiner's book lays out this incredible path to a reality where the spiritual side of life is just as real, just as tangible as the physical world we see every day. And it leaves us to wonder, if you could really perceive the hidden spirit within everything and everyone, how would you choose to live? How would that change not just what you see, but who you decide to be?